Everybody, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to D. Davidson's Payments and FinTech Symposium. I'm super excited to have Voyager Digital here. Steve Ehrlich, the CEO, is one of the most unique and interesting stories in all of crypto. Unfortunately, I don't cover it yet, but as I'm getting caught up in preparation for this meeting, there's a lot of exciting things going on, and it's been an amazing year for Voyager Digital. So with that, Steve, maybe since we're a little less familiar with this name as a whole and as a firm, you can just give us a little intro, tell us a little bit about Voyager, the story, and sort of where you're positioned today for competitive perspective in the crypto market.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Really appreciate being here and appreciate everyone who's watching this right now or who will watch it in the future. So thank you so much for your interest in Voyager and learning more about it. It's means a lot to us as we're still a growing company here with a lot of things in front of us. But the backstory on Voyager was I'm an industry veteran. I've been in the capital markets for give or take at that point in time when we started this in 2018, about 25 years. Spending a lot of my career at E-Trade, built my own online broker, institutional brokerage as well. So capital markets veteran, got together with some of my co-founders, was introduced by the former CEO of E-Trade, Jarrett Lillian, introduced me to Gaspar Dedruzzi, Philip Aton, and probably the most notable of our founding group was Oscar Salazar. Oscar was the founding CTO of Uber. So he was the one that built the very first app. We got together in 17 and we were looking at opportunities to work together with unique different backgrounds. And we came to the market, we saw what was going on in the digital space, the crypto space, and said we could build something that we think is going to be value proposition to retail consumers that isn't in the marketplace yet. And when you look at my background at E-Trade for so many years, in that we could bring an agency brokerage platform to retail consumers. There's tons of exchanges in the marketplace. There was lots of them around the globe, but how do we aggregate all that liquidity and show customers a really easy to use mobile app to access what we thought was going to be the future of financial services? And so that's how we got together and we started the business in early 2018. We brought our product to market in the beta version in early 2019. And really the full product came to market, full product at that point in time with an iOS, an Android app, with our yield programs, reward programs, trading in November 2019. So we've really only been in business 2 short years. And then, and I think what we've been able to accomplish, as you referenced, Chris, is that this year has been phenomenal for us. And we're now over, 1 million funded accounts, almost 3 million users of the platform, and just a stone's throw from 7 billion of customer AUM. It's been an amazing run for the last 2 years. And your question on competitors, look, we look at this landscape in the US. We're strictly in the US today. We only focus on US retail customers, and we'll answer some questions about the future coming up. But we're only in the US, and we look at the US as the big 4 in crypto, focusing on retail consumers. And that's the other public company in Coinbase, and then it's FTX, and it's crypto.com. We're the big 4. We own most of the market share of retail consumers in the US as focused on those customers. So we're excited about where we're positioned, excited about the first few years of our business. And, we're even more excited about where we think the business is going over the next few years.
Awesome. Well, definitely a lot in there. I'd love to get into the growth and the strategy to continue it a little bit later. But I'd love to get a little bit more detail, as a broker more than an exchange, what does that mean for your business? Does it mean you have, thinner margins, fatter margins? It's obviously a great way to attract consumers, especially ones that are a little more savvy. I can't believe how many folks, still traded on Coinbase at 2+%. So, it's not necessarily a pricing strategy, but it definitely seems like, best execution should be a strategy that resonates with folks. And how does that, sort of change the dynamics for the business model?
Well, the biggest difference when you think about a broker versus an exchange is we have one purpose. Our purpose is to deliver a value proposition to retail consumers. Exchanges, as many people know, have to focus on 2 segments, the retail consumer and the institutions. And a lot of focus goes on the institutions because an exchange needs a 2-sided market to actually be successful. And who gives it to retail consumers? Don't do 2-sided markets. Retail consumers put orders on the book on the exchange that are one side. Institutions create those two-sided markets. So we decided that our business should be focused on this retail consumer, bringing a value proposition to the retail consumer with a zero commission model, so zero commissions, and we make a spread that averages about 100 basis points in every trade, which is much less than what the Coinbase's app and other apps are out there, paying, for people to buy crypto that are well over 2%. So we're not the lowest cost provider in the space because we bring a lot of value to what we do with our app. We also allow people to earn rewards with just holding assets on our platforms. You hold Bitcoin on our platform, you're earning annual rewards that get paid out monthly and obviously then compound. So we bring a real retail value proposition to consumers to make sure that they're getting the best product. And by us connecting to all those exchanges, multiple exchanges around the globe, we're probably over 20 at this point between exchanges and market makers. We bring a depth of liquidity so we can perform a best execution for consumers that they don't get on exchanges.
Do you think it's been a big factor in your growth? I mean, there's a lot of things driving crypto growth this year and user adoption. You've got a broad product set. You mentioned the ability to earn and sort of you've got a debit card coming. You've got lots of initiatives that are attracting consumers. But do you think that sort of top of the house sort of best execution strategy has been the biggest driver?
I actually think the best execution with the really simple to use app that we built. So you can actually get on the app and get into trading in 3 minutes or less. Open the account, and as long as you pass through the know your customer and the anti-money laundering rules that we all have in place that are overseen obviously by FinCEN in the States, you can get to trading in 3 minutes or less. So the app is very easy to use, download, get to trading. And then the interface itself is really compelling and easy for customers to trade on. Everything we do is versus dollars. We don't do any cross pairs like Bitcoin to Ethereum. Everything is based off the dollars because we run under the method of keep it simple. People entering the space and wanting to trade, keep it simple. We now know, we had a vision that there would be taxation on this, and we saw this now in the infrastructure bill. So for people to understand their tax position when they're going cross currencies, much more complex than when everything is versus the dollar. So we built the business to have a really easy to use app, everything against the dollar. People can easily see their profits and losses and see the rewards that they get. That's why we think is the number one reason people come to us. And then you have the best execution and the deep pool of liquidity. But the fact that we have 68 coins against the dollar, earning these rewards, and a very simple to use app are the two top reasons people come to us. Excellent,
amazing, great stuff. It's amazing how when I used to trade crypto, it didn't have stable coins really, and just how much of an innovation that has been. I'm kind of a spreadsheet guy, and I tried to figure out my taxes back in 2018 with all the cross pairs, and it was insane. It's really, really difficult. So I totally hear you there. I wish we had a little easier way of tracking taxes. The best way to do it is find a software provider, as I found. So great. I'd love to get the question. I think on a lot of people's mind. Where do you sort of stand from a competitive standpoint with Coinbase? I know you send a lot of trades there. They're probably one of your biggest places, given how large they are. And are there any sort of major competitors that are using your strategy that we should know about?
Yeah, we have a fantastic relationship with Coinbase. They are one of the exchanges that we use for execution. We do custody with them as well. They recently listed our own native token to our platform, VGX. So that's on the platform. Our councils talk together. We know each other well. So it's a really good relationship we have with them. We do compete though. Obviously, we compete for retail consumers. But we think that the competition itself, we're so early in the adoption still of crypto that we still think that competition's good. We bringing more people into the ecosystem, we're going to get our share, and we started to increase our share that we've been getting. And you can just see that by the number of downloads we get on our app and how we've moved up in the rankings. We're getting a larger share than others as we continue to move up. So it's a great relationship with them, and we're both public companies. So there's a lot of information and things we can share on that front. And they followed our lead on that one. They were in the business first, but we were the first to be public. So I think there's a lot of knowledge that we gain from each other.
Great. I should know this, but I actually don't. How much of this in the past has and you know, I'm talking about customer growth in particular, which is your key focus, has been driven by marketing, direct marketing, brand advertising, and then you know what that looks like going forward. You know, apparently it's a thing to put your name on a stadium. I saw you have a deal with Dallas Mavericks. Big fan, not much of the team, but of Mark. So maybe talk about a little bit of your marketing strategy.
Yeah, we were actually the first company in crypto to engage with professional athletes and teams. We were in 2018. We brought on, you know, at that time, quarterback Matt Barkley, who was with the Bills at that time. Matt came with us and started working with us. Then we expanded. We had Tracy McGrady, Marshall Faulk, Stephen Piscotty. Then we got into NASCAR back in June with Landon Castle. Then you saw others start to follow us behind that. You know, we just recently we announced Rob Gronkowski's working with us. So we were early on that phase. But growth for us comes from multiple avenues. And where we've been really successful is not spending $700 million over 20 years to put our name on a stadium. Where we've been really successful is to actually go direct to consumer in our advertising and use our community and the token that's native to our platform that gives people extra rewards to hold. That's been a core component of how we're growing our business. Is you build loyalty through that token, you build loyalty through engagement with the community, and we're probably at the top. I don't think, when I mentioned those 4 companies, I don't see anyone else. I mean, Sam over at FTX starting to do it. We engage with our community quite a bit now on social, including myself. And I think that's what separates us from the others, is we use that as a marketing tool, because, you know, customers become your best advocates, and they're telling their friends, you've got to go open a Voyager app. And so we use that really effectively. At the same time, we do a lot of digital ads. We do the Mavs deal, you know, we do the NASCAR deal, and we have other things we're working on too, to supplement how good we are at getting accounts organically.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to watch how he's usually putting a name on a stadium is not a good thing from a corporate perspective, but so far, I guess recently it's been better.
I leave that to the public. You know, public investors. You know, remember the companies that are doing it on the stadiums are private companies. I leave it to the public investors whether or not they. Yeah, you're right, Chris. You know, for years it's been saying that's like deaths of companies in the public sector by doing that. You know, it's not something we're even entertaining.
Okay, great. So let's get a little bit more into the nuts and bolts here. Oh, by the way, we do have the ability to ask questions. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So I'd love to hear, you know, going from 43,000 accounts to over 1 million in the books in 1 year is incredible growth. And I spent a little bit of time at a tech company before I rejoined the sell side a couple of years ago. And, you know, just knowing how much growth and how much the operational, you know, sort of load would be to onboard that many accounts in that sort of time. You know, how have you gotten there, and what has it meant for the platform and the strength of the base you have here?
It's been an unbelievable, you know, calendar 2021 for us with the account growth. But and we started the year, it's not only did we go from 43,000 funded accounts and 250 million of AUM to over 1 million funded accounts and almost 7 billion of AUM. Not only is it that, you know, it's the team we built. We started the year with 35 employees. We now have over 250 employees. We'll continue to grow that. It's the culture that we put in place that, you know, we have a culture of accountability, but at the same time, the team that we have, my executive team, has been through this before. And I think that's what separates us from a lot of companies. You know, we have a lot of people that came on board from E-Trade. They've been in the capital market space. So we've seen times where companies have grown and know how to make pivots and be able to, you know, understand what's going on at a moment's notice. When we get this massive inflow of accounts, we know how to react. You know, yeah, we're not going to be perfect. You know, and we've had times where, you know, technology hasn't been perfect, but we get up and running pretty quick after those little blips. Our system has now become extremely scalable over that time. And you just have to be able to, in that, obviously you're working a lot, and our team is so dedicated to the business and what we've done, but you've got to be able to identify issues quickly and react to them and make changes. And that's one of the beauties of Voyager, is that we're so flexible. When we see something, you know, we can make a quick change and start working on and fixing those issues and problems that people don't even see in the back end. Like the customer facing side, they won't even see it. We see stuff in the back end with all the monitoring tools that we use. to prevent fraud, for security purposes, for scalability. We have all these things monitoring all this. And when we see things, we could react quickly, because that's the culture we've built at Voyager. And it's allowed us to grow from 43,000 accounts to over 1 million funded. And like I said, almost 3 million users on the platform. So we still can convert, somewhere about almost 2 million people that have downloaded the app, used the app, but haven't yet funded.
Interesting. What do they use the app for if they're not funding it?
Coin tracking. They love the pricing that they see, because they know we're getting an aggregate price on our platform that is, from multiple exchanges and market makers, right? So that's the price they see. It's not, if you go to some of the coin tracking apps, it's just exchanges. It might be weighted with, some low end exchange might be in that weight. We only work with top tier exchanges and top tier market makers. So they know the price they're getting is actionable liquidity. So they actually can see prices that are more consistent.
Interesting. Awesome. I guess I want to pivot a little bit to this. I want to talk about the debit cards. I'm more of a payments guy at heart, and I love sort of the functionality. The interchange is obviously nice as well, but just the engagement you get when you can get consumers to use a debit card. I know it's not quite out yet, but can you give us any sort of update there? And I guess I'm sure you're excited about it, but maybe some sense of how important it is to the overall strategy too.
Well, you nailed it. It's engagement, right? I mean, our customers are engaged in our platform already. 8 to 10 times a day they're on the app. And so we have great partners, Program Manager and UCO, our bank, Metropolitan Commercial Bank, both public companies, are our partners in bringing this debit card. And it's unique because people will be able to hold their USDC, a stable coin, which has no volatility to it. It's always tied to the dollar, but they'll be able to hold their assets in this stable coin, earn rewards of 9% per year, again, paid out monthly, but then take their debit card, go to the gas station, go to the restaurant, swipe it, and we'll pay the merchants in the dollars. And so they don't have to worry about moving money back to dollars. We're doing all the hard work on the back end. And I know there's a lot of, there's products out there that say, spend your Bitcoin, spend your other crypto. People tend not to want to spend those other cryptos because there's a tax implication to it. Plus they think they're going up. In this case, they're holding a dollar-backed asset in a stable coin, and they'll be able to use that. We've already seen people, say, I'm ditching my bank, I'm coming to Voyager, because they'll be able to actually direct deposit with this debit card too, straight to Metropolitan Commercial Bank, and get FDIC insurance on that cash part, not on the USDC. We've got a massive wait list right now on that, and we expect to bring that to market, start bringing it to market in January to consumers. We'll keep adding more and more people week by week on that, but we're expecting to bring that, in January. And we think the engagement's going to be tremendous. It's just going to keep people more and more in our app. And it's an entry point for people into the crypto ecosystem in a comfort that they'll get because it's a dollar-backed stablecoin. They don't have to worry about the volatility of the other coins. No volatility. It's a dollar-backed stablecoin. They get to use their money when they want to. So we're just going to continue that engagement with consumers.
Amazing. And as people look to replace their existing banks, it's pretty compelling where you can get that kind of yield.
Yeah.
And the app obviously, probably runs circles around your average bank app. I have played around with it a little bit. I recommend people check it out. So let's get to what really matters here, and your stock and the opportunity here. I wanted to first touch on some of the recent trends. We sort of had a big start to the year in crypto. It cooled off in the third quarter, but fourth quarter, from all indications, is going to be quite a bit better. What's your latest update there?
We on our last earnings call, we told the street that, hey, we are going to significantly beat our record quarter, which was the June quarter, which was $109 million. Unequivocally, I can say that we are significantly going to beat that $109 million target that we laid out, that we set on our earnings call. October, November have been fantastic for the business. We added additional diversification of revenue streams with the staking that we do, which has helped the payment. We bought a payment company, Coinify. That's going well. So we added that as a diversification on a revenue stream. So significantly beating 109 million is a no-brainer, which puts us, the other thing we said is that we're a fiscal year end and we're a June fiscal year end, but for calendar 2021, we expect to significantly beat 360 million as our revenue for the calendar year. And put it in perspective, calendar year 2020 was like 7 million. So it's 50 times that we're going to do from year over year.
Amazing. And then, your stock doesn't exactly trade at the same multiple as Coinbase or anyone else in the space for that matter. So, maybe talk a little bit about what you think. I think the Toronto listing is part of it, and maybe an update there would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we're now listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. That's our primary exchange, and we're on the OTC markets in the US. We traded at a discount to Coinbase. We're a hidden gem. I mean, for those listening, we're a hidden gem. People just don't really know about us, and we're more conferences like we're doing with you guys is really valuable to us getting our word out. But now that we got the Toronto Stock Exchange and we got our prospectus cleared from them in early September, our next goal is to get to NASDAQ and join Coinbase there to be on that exchange as well. And we're working hard towards that. Some things we're doing on that front, but we're hopeful, that we can get there in 2022. But it's key, and it will help unlock a lot of value for consumers and for our investors, really, in being there. But Toronto Stock Exchange is a great exchange too. We're starting to see a lot more volume on our stock. We are undervalued. Again, just look at the multiples. If I'm saying 360 million for a calendar year, we're probably trading at like an 8 multiple of revenue, and others in the space, whether it's Coinbase or some of these neobank type products that are in our competitive landscape, are trading at higher multiples, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no, much higher multiples. That's why we put you at 9 o'clock, so we could get people, before the open, hear the story. Is there any sort of like anything other than like dotting I's and crossing T's to get on NASDAQ? Anything more significant, or is it just a process?
It's a process. Look, I think everything it's crypto, so the SEC, will review our information and application. But we've gotten through the OSC as a clear prospectus, and they put us through extensive conversations and review. So I think that'll help along the way here. But we think that is absolutely the next step for us is to get to NASDAQ.
Excellent. Okay. So I think what would also help is the growth trajectory here and sustaining it. Obviously, a great 2021. We mentioned some of the product initiatives like the debit card is possibly sort of helping that, the marketing effort. What about international? You mentioned that you're only in the US today. I know you bought a company in Europe, getting closer to launch there. How big can that be, and how meaningful and important is it to you?
It is meaningful to us. It's important to us. We're working hard there. We got this approval from the AMF in France that gives us a license that allows us to conduct the business that we do today. Is the trading, the rewards programs, the staking, all that, in France, and solicit customers in France, which allows us when we're there. There's a bunch of European countries where you don't have to do any other filings and you can solicit customers from. There are a few countries that we could take customers in unsolicited as we file in their state, in their countries, but the filings are less than what needed to be done in France. So we're really excited by that. That's coming in 22 as well, working hard to get there. And then Canada is the other one. We've gone through the OSC for the prospectus. Now we're working with them to get what they call exemptive relief, because in Canada, the regulation is that you have to be a registered broker-dealer to offer crypto. And they'll give you an exemptive relief that says you have 2 years to go get your full broker-dealer license from the time they give you the exemptive relief. We're working towards that. We feel we're pretty close on that front as well. So those are two real big areas for us to grow the business on, just from a geographic diversification.
Yeah, exciting to see. You mentioned some of the regulatory stuff, and I guess I'd love to know, just from your perspective, if there's any color you can provide on the U.S. situation, because I feel like crypto has really come of age this year. Like 14 and 18, when it spiked earlier, it was really more speculation. It really has, I think, become a lot more mainstream, across our business as well as a lot of other businesses. But we still only have the clarity we need from a regulatory perspective. Do you think we'll get that in 22, and or do you think we'll still have this, hodgepodge of agencies that are using old laws to regulate crypto?
I still think 22 will be a continue of what we see in 21. I think there's going to be a lot of thought given into it, and I think that's the key here. Is that we've been saying all along, and I know there's a congressional House summit next week when they're talking crypto. Some really good, smart names are there. I think they're going to go through thoughtful regulation here because they don't want to, stop innovation. You're seeing some unbelievable projects that are coming to market. Things like, and we're high on coins like Avalanche and Solana. We're very high on them because they're bringing and solving, problems across different industries. So I think the government will give some thoughtful regulation. I think we'll start to see a little bit, but I think, when you think about where we came from, a broker-dealer world, and my background's there, it took many years to really develop a full-fledged regulatory environment with broker-dealers. So I think we're going to start seeing some of that in 22, but you won't really see full regulation to probably 23 or 24.
Yeah, no, it's always take the over on that too.
Yeah.
It's a slow process, but it would be nice. I mean, I did feel like it's gotten, I was sure like in your in hiring folks and working with third parties, it's definitely become a lot easier this year, I would think. And that I think will help, sort of sustain the momentum on the regulatory side too. I mean, the whole industry has grown up, I think, a lot, and that should help as well.
Well, one thing I'd mention on that is I think people think it's an unregulated industry. That's not true. We're regulated by FinCEN, we're regulated by the states under money service licensing. So there's a lot of regulation in place. The know your customer that FinCEN puts in is really important when we talk about knowing who the customer is and anti-money laundering rules. We have to do all that. Those of us that play by the rules, which includes us, these are extensive rules that, require significant investment in your infrastructure to make sure you're abiding by those rules. So there's rules in there to avoid, money laundering, bad guys getting into the account, money moving to, wallets that aren't, that shouldn't be getting, money. So there's a lot of work that gets done on that back end. So we are regulated, even though people think it's an unregulated business. There's no capital rules, but it's really a regulated business.
Yeah, no, hopefully more so in the future. Last questions, we're running out of time, but I wanted to end on a more interesting note. What is the sort of the strategy and the upside around the token? I happen to own some Binance coin, and it turned out pretty well. Thankfully, I forgot about it, but it's been one of the more interesting areas of the token world. You just got listed on Coinbase. Talk about how it plays into the loyalty strategy, if you can, quickly.
Yeah, it's core to our platform. It's our native token. Consumers get rewards with that token. They get extra yields with the token. They get tokens back for trading volume. And we have a new plan. We're working on a brand new rewards plan that's going to be really expansive in 2020. It's core. As I said earlier, the token has helped us get organic growth. So the token is really core to everything we do. And literally 2 weeks ago, it was $2. I guess it's $5 now. So it increases our marketing power because we have 40 million tokens to use for marketing. So we went from an 80 million budget to a $200 million budget, in addition to what we use in cash in 2 weeks.
Amazing. That's what's fascinating about crypto is there's like really different things that you just can't do in the traditional world. And I look forward to seeing more of your progress as we go forward. I think with that, we'll wrap up. Thanks so much, Steve. We're right on time. And I hopefully I will get a little more familiar with the story soon. So that's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending, for the time, and thanks to everyone who's watching. Appreciate the interest in Voyager.
Okay. Talk soon. Thanks.